Now, do you know why he's called Mr. Brett, though, on the other end of the spectrum? So back in the day, I don't remember what one of the band members called his house. Well, Mr. Brett was so affluent as a kid that his maid picked up and called out to the phone, Mr. Brett, come here.
Whoa.
Probably the most important punk album of the last 30 years, Suffer. And I say that because it's literally the catalyst for like everything else that we talked about. Yes, Dookie was bigger. Yes, And Out Come the Wolves was better. But I don't know if either one of those two albums ever get made, and on the scale that they do, if Suffer doesn't happen. It basically births skate punk and pop punk as a genre.
Well, yeah. I think Suffer is... That came out in 88, right?
Yep.
So, okay. Here's my question. Is Suffer as important as Operation Ivy's release was?
I would say it could be co-equal.
I was just thinking that. Because they came out roughly around the same time.
Because that scene, and they, like Operation Ivy, even it helped stretch it into pop punk, I think, a little more. Because of Operation
Because what I was
Ivy.
thinking was that, like, if you have, I think those are the linchpins of everything we love. Suffer and Operation Ivy Energy.
And I think Milo Goes to College has to be right there too. Yes.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even in the same conversation.
We can't, but we can't,
not even this.
We can't say this stuff also spawned all the other melodic stuff and not say that Milo Goes to College is not in there, or that early Descendants in general is not in there.
I mean, I don't agree with that.
In that trio. Yeah. I don't think we can't put Op Ivy on there and then not have the Descendants on there. If
that doesn't even make sense, dude. The Descendants didn't so what I'm saying is that Operation Ivy Energy created like a ska punk sound.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Religion Suffer created skate punk.
Mm-hmm.
Milo Goes to College didn't create anything.
No, but all the bands that made music that were inspired by those two bands all sounded a lot were spiritual descendants of the Descendants.
That's why
I don't think you can not have that band with those other two if you're going to have those.
You absolutely can, because that band is not as important as those two. I'm speaking of specific releases. Now, Operation Ivy happened to be like that was like their only release, but like had they done other albums, that would still be the one. That would still be the point. And I think that Bad Religion Suffer is still the point. I mean, I don't even understand that statement. Like, I don't agree.
But like, how do you get No Effects without combining those two bands? Without combining Bad Religion and the Descendants? Like, that's No Effects. There you go.
No, it's not.
How is that not like how?
Dude, they're literally Bad Religion with a fat obnoxious idiot on stage
with like the aesthetic of the Descendants, like with the style of the Descendants. Yes, that is what you just proved my point. That's what No Effects is.
I mean, agree to disagree. I don't agree.
Because to me, if only these bands, so you can only put like the lighter side, then you can only credit that to Op Ivy if you're going to do that. Like they would have to take full responsibility for that, because you can't really create any of the lighter side to Bad Religion if you're on that.
What are you talking about? Of course you can.
Really?
Yeah, you can. I don't consider Bad Religion. I consider
but you're not going to. But they're not a jokey band, are they? They're not a comedy band the way all these other bands were that came in their wake, and that's why I think that's where you have to put the Descendants in that.
No, I don't agree with that.
So that just came out of nowhere? That like we're just gonna say that came out of thin air, like Fat Mike invented that?
I mean, I would definitely give Fat Mike more credit than the Descendants. I just don't agree with that. I think Fat Mike would have existed without the Descendants existing. I don't think it took the Descendants to give you Fat Mike. But then, for that reason, I would say Fat Mike's more important.
Push it forward 2 years then, because now when everything's blowing up to like between 98 and 05, because then I think it's unquestioned that you're bringing the Descendants. So maybe if you're just going early 90s, then
what bands are you telling me?
Okay, so you think like Blink-182 exists in their same form without the Descendants? Like,
yeah,
no, that is half the members of Blink-182. Like they would say no, like. Absolutely not. Yeah.
I don't know that we would have got this exact same albums, but like, and my point wasn't that like Blink-182 wouldn't. My point is that without those two records, we wouldn't have gotten anything that we got. It doesn't mean that the Descendents weren't some sort of
what a tangent we went on.
Do what?
I said, what a tangent we went on. I forgot that's how it started.
but it's crazy though to be like, yeah, but there's a band, because if that's the case, then okay, then we have to talk about Pennywise now because they spawned this thing, and we have to talk about this band. But
no, we don't. Pennywise is much simpler. It's just Bad Religion. They just did Bad Religion. Pennywise just did Bad Religion a second time.
But my point is that the Descendents didn't do anything new, and Bad Religion did, and so did Operation Ivy. The Descendants are just the Ramones. That's all they are.
They don't stand out in that scene, really?
I don't think so at all.
Really?
I don't think so at all.
Like when they're touring with Black Flag, you don't think the Descendants stick out like a sore ass thumb when they're touring with Black Flag and those other SSD
I mean, you could
bands?
give me a bazillion different lineups with important bands that they don't really match up together. That doesn't mean that they're as iconic or influential. And I'm not saying that they're not iconic or influential. I'm stating that there's different levels to it. And at the very top, you've got Bad Religion and Operation Ivy. And like 2, 3, maybe 4 levels down, you'd have the Descendants. I'm not saying they're not influential. I'm not saying they're not important. I'm not even speaking on whether or not they're good. I'm just saying that they're not the same, that the linchpin is those 2 records, because you got all the music that we like in those 2 records. Blink-182 could absolutely have come from just Operation Ivy and Bad Religion. Just because Blink-182 are immature. Now, granted, I know for a fact that Blink-182 cites the Descendants as a major influence. I'm not discrediting that or arguing that. I'm just saying that you still could have gotten that without the Descendants, but you couldn't have gotten most of what we like without Operation Ivy and Suffer, was my point.
All right. And so just to put it in perspective, so this whole term we talked about it a lot, and I think it's a really useful term, of melodic hardcore, like Fat Mike likes to use. That is like the definition of like what Suffer created. So you could say it's that. So there's a few ways to say. You could say it's skate punk, which it is, but skate punk is kind of I feel like it's hard to get an identity away from Suffer actually to even define what it is. It's just like, is skate punk a genre to its own, or is it all the stuff that just sounded like Suffer and that spun off of Suffer? You know what I mean?
It's kind of like that.
There's some skate
I don't
punk
like the term melodic hardcore. I don't ever use it. So
you don't use it. I think it's helpful because I think what is skate punk? And I think the best definition I ever heard, I forget who made this, of skate punk, was that it is a take of, you can take it either as you have this pop punk kind of thing, and it's the little harder edge of pop punk, just that one edge that's a little harder, or it's the harder edge stuff, and this is where Bad Religion came in. But all of a sudden they put in all this melodic stuff into their music and completely change it. It can be either one.
I guess my thing is that I've seen nothing hardcore about Bad Religion or NoFX or Pennywise. All those bands are skate punk bands to me, and melodic hardcore bands, I don't even know. To me, that's just I almost said Matt Fike. It's just
what it's a bass
just
player.
Dude, I gotta come up with something to use that for.
Matt Fike. Love it.
But melodic hardcore is just him being insecure. It's skate punk. Melodic hardcore is such a stupid term to me. But
he says that in defense for people call them pop punk, and I'm like, well, it's lowercase p pop punk is what this stuff is.
Yeah,
and that's, to me, that's a good definition. Because like Blink-182, you might say capital P, like anyway, wherever it is, those labels, they start right here. And so going through the album.
So what are we talking about right now? Number 2, being Suffer.
Yeah. That's somehow we ended up
like 20 minutes to get to.
Yeah. So I was like, can't even have it pulled up. All right. So there's a few songs I don't like on here. I think it's Forbidden Beat. I hate that song. Get that song out of there. It's just another one. It's a little chanty and stuff. Forbidden Beat.
It's all right.
Yeah. Other than that,
I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
Other than that, You Are the Government just kicks things off. And the guitar sound on this album, I love it. Love it. Give You Nothing is just such a good fuck you song.
That's probably my favorite Bad Religion song.
Land of Competition, Best for You. Of course, the song Suffer. That intro, one of the best intros in punk rock. The like where the thing is right. You think of it live when Hetson was doing it, and he's there literally like punching the guitar and jumping up and down. Plus, I love the lyrics of Suffer. What Can You Do? And of course, the song that the book was titled "Do What You Want," which I think is a pretty good like signature.
Also a great song.
They open with it often, and I think it's a perfect like open. Just the way that like kind of sets the stage and it comes in. Jay Bentley, shout out to him. So we've been talking about bass players. So you have the complexities of Matt Freeman. He's kind of a combo of Matt Freeman and Fat Mike. He influenced Fat Mike, so maybe that's where the combo comes in, because he plays a lot of that fast, more punky stuff like Fat Mike does it, but he does it at a very precise level and does so many extra kind of little Matt Freeman-y things around it. Another guy who didn't really know how to play, just sort of learned through the first album and has kind of taught himself. Another guy that learned kind of on guitar and I think has that sort of guitar style to his bass. The off timing stuff just ridiculously difficult to play. And there's 3 members to be a Bad Religion that are the core members. It's Dr. Graffin, it's Brett, and then it's Jay Bentley. And those are kind of your 3. They'll come in and out. Those are the 3 members that sort of make up Bad Religion as the constants. And those are the 3 general songwriters.
I've never heard anybody call him Dr. Greffen before.
Oh, it's a fun joke.
I'm sure it's very common. I've never heard it. It's so.
But it's funny, like it's a joke because like we talk about. There's one other. I always forget. So there's the Offspring guy. There's
Is it
Dexter?
Holland. Yeah,
there's Milo. Holland. And there's Graffin, and the punk rock PhDs, the punk professor. There's one other guy, and I can never remember who it is. There's one other guy. I think his band might not be as famous.
Who would that be?
They're always into like really deep science too. The way like Dexter Holland is like this biologist, and I believe Milo's a biologist. Evolutionary biology is evolution is what or zoology. That's what Bad Religion. Greg Graffin. His professorship in zoology. He did write a lot about religion later for his and he got a lot of that info just from writing Bad Religion lyrics and said where that kind of inspired him. But zoology, evolution, like origins of species, all that kind of stuff.